And welcome back to Sports Talk as we are live inside here at Ascarate Park at the golf club, and very nice to be here. And man, oh man, whoever came up with the idea about having us inside, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a great way to do it over the next 2 hours as we'll get you ready for Chihuahuas baseball tonight. El Paso continuing their road swing in Round Rock against the Express. We've got a full house again today with Adrian Broadus. We've got Alberto Urueta, Michael Plundo, and, of course, Mike Smith, who is the head pro, the head PGA professional out here at Ascarate. Great to be back out here, guys. Welcome back. And, Adrian, you and the boys had a chance to do something that very few people get to do on Friday, play hooky from work and play some golf out here.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the summer reminds you of the sport of golf, and it's just so exciting. And to be out here at Ascarate Golf Course is great. We're talking about two big events that really kick off tonight. First is Gals Gone Golfing. Second one being Nights Under the Lights. So those are really cool events. First off, with Nights Under the Lights, it's $6 range buckets. That gets started tonight at 7 o'clock. You get to come out here to beautiful Ascarate Golf Course and get to hit the driving range under the lights. That's a lot of fun. And then we've got Mike Smith, who's going to talk a little Gals Gone Golfing with us here to start things off.
Tell me this, the golf course today, what was it like as you had a chance to play it, the condition, the way things worked for you?
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, the play here is exceptional, and my golf game was not exceptional. It was great to watch and hang out with Michael and Alberto here. It was awesome to see Michael live up to the name. He definitely beat us both here, and I played 9. These two were brave enough to go with a full 18, Steve, so that's how we really got it going.
I love that. Michael, how was the course? You tell us.
It was a great time. I really liked the back nine, too. It's my first time ever golfing at Ascarate, so it was really cool to get the experience and feel for it, and overall I had a good time with Adrian and Alberto.
Excellent. Well, let's welcome in Mike Smith, the head PGA pro, who's with us right now wearing a terrific shirt that it features unicorns, it features birds, it's got pineapples, it looks like it has donuts. Mike, you're sparing no expenses today with us. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out.
Hey, thanks for having me. Just wanted to say thanks for having me out here and you guys coming out. And I don't see the scorecard.
We got to bring that. We got to bring that out to you. Yeah, we got to show the proof to you.
Yeah. Wanted to check that out. So, we got some things going on. Summer's just beginning. We've been busy, during COVID. Golf shot up, 25, 30% everywhere. So all the golf courses are enjoying the extra revenue. And hopefully as pros, we can try to keep that new group out there. That's kind of the PGA of America. We don't want to have the attrition rate very high for golf, which it normally is because you find out it's a little bit harder than they think.
Mike, I just realized something. Your staff is wearing the same shirt.
Yes.
This is actually a Ascarate shirt you've got on right now.
Yeah, this is what we wear when we have a special event. We brought them out last week.
Nice.
We had the Edward Zulawaga, which is the kickoff of the first major of the city. It was the 75th. Anthony Lada won it. Young kid. And plays at Mexico State, shot 71 the first day, and there was like 371s, a couple 72s, I think, and that was some ugly weather last Saturday, and they got out early right before, probably still finished. It was windy, but then it really got bad, and then Anthony kind of just didn't make any mistakes, shot 67 the last day. He had a driver wedge into 14 to par 5 for eagle, and about 5 feet and made eagle. Wow. It's like taking lines out there. I'm like, wow, okay, yeah.
Tell us, course-wise, I mean, right now with the weather heating up and not expecting any rain for quite a while, what is the condition of the course like right now?
Condition is a lot better. The staff, Ben and Lalo and the staff have done a great job. Our greenskeeper retired a few weeks back, and they've taken over since then, and we're in the process of hiring a new one, but it's gotten way better in the last 3.5 weeks. These guys worked really hard. The greens are great right now, and we had some issues, just because the wind out here in West Texas, the sand blows up like 12. We're working on them. Once the Bermuda really starts kicking in, we throw water at that Bermuda. Grows over the sidewalk, so it'll come up, but we'll be working hard because we got the big junior tournament, the Ascarate Junior Tournament, June 10th and 11th, And so when we get that rolling as well, they'll have some really good players out here. That's a qualifier for Junior World. So if you win your division, you get a lot of kids from this area as well as into Mexico that come up here and try to qualify, because that's probably the biggest junior tournament in the world.
So, Mike, you tell us, Ascarate Golf Course, if somebody hasn't been out here, like you heard Michael, he said he's never been out here before. He got a chance to experience it today. How would you describe it out here?
It's tougher layout than people think. I mean, one of the things is the first 5 holes you got to get by. The first, and then the course starts recognizing bad shots on about 15. 15's a pretty long par 4, not for these young guys, but it's a good 15. Then 16's got trouble everywhere, front, left, and right, out of bounds right, par 3. And then 17, you got to hit over the water, and it kind of cuts right. And then 18's a good par 4. It's uphill on the second shot. And the greens out here are some of them are a little bit different. You got some break on some that you're not used to. But we get tons of play. We're glad to have all these people. We accept everybody from all walks of life are starting to play golf, which is different than it was when I was growing up. But being out in El Paso, we can play year round. I love that.
Well, not to mention tonight the start of Gals Going Golfing. Let's talk about that, because this is going to be every Friday from 6 to 8 for the next 5 sessions. And
Yep.
If you are a female and you want to learn golfing or just have some fun, this is for you, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it's all about. Just trying to introduce ladies to golf. And we came up with this. This is our 3rd year. Last year we ended up having 2 sessions. The first session had 22 ladies, and then the second one I think 13. But it's just to introduce them. Sometimes their boyfriends, husbands play golf. They don't really know what it's all about, and then we can kind of show them, hey, you come into the golf course, you do this, you get on the cart, you do that. There's the range, to make them feel comfortable, not kind of scared or hesitant to show up. And it's a game that you can play the rest of your life. It really is. I just in end of April played with my mom a few holes. She's 80 years old, still plays once, walks 9 holes sometimes, and my stepfather is 85 and goes out there and plays when his back is okay. So it's we have a guy out here that's 93, walks golf 9 holes 3 times a week.
Incredible.
Rides his bicycle 6 miles on Saturdays and goes dancing Saturday nights. 93,
Wow.
Mr. Tiscarino.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I love stories like that. I can also imagine, though, that some of the ladies that play in Gals Going Golfing, by the time they're done, they probably are pretty hooked on it, aren't they?
I hope so. That's kind of the goal. We want them to get out and play and enjoy the weather. When you can do this year round around here, and Ascarate is not an expensive place to play. You can play every day at 3 o'clock for $25 with a cart. There's not too many things you can do for $25 for 4 or 5 hours, and that's this is one of them. And getting ladies out there, that's a demographic that's not always shot toward it. I just want to get them out there and feel comfortable to come to the golf course, and then they make friends. Playing golf to me is always about who you're playing with. I could play some of the best rounds or fun time I ever had was at a 9-hole municipal golf course in Monroe, Louisiana, and it was just the guys that I was playing with. It wasn't the course, it was just the fellowship. So
I think it's also important to ask this question, Mike, is that as a public course here at Ascarate, and talking about $25 to play from 3 o'clock on, there are memberships here. You can actually join Ascarate.
Oh, yeah, you can join Ascarate. You can. The membership is $1,080, I think, for 1 year. And, if you play at all, it runs it down pretty less. And then we have a senior rate, that runs, I think, $700 and some dollars. And that's, you can play every day of the week. You just can't play on Saturday and Sundays before noon on Saturdays and 10 o'clock on Sundays. But that's a great deal if you play, And a lot of people, they want to play other courses, so they go and will play. They won't buy a membership at one course because they just want to. There's 4 or 5 public courses right in El Paso that you can play, and they're all fun too. So, but it's a way for that way, if you have a membership, we allow the guys that have memberships to make tee times before we throw it out to the public.
I'll tell you this, what I love now is because of 375 and how easy it is to access this golf course from 375, you can live on the far west side, hit the freeway by Mesa, and in 20 minutes, you're here ready to go play.
Oh, yeah, that thing's great. In 12 minutes, I'm parked at UTEP when I go to a game. I leave here,
That's right.
to go to a basketball or game, and it's 12 minutes, and I'm at UTEP getting out of the car. And, yeah, that's a great road. You get off on Fonseca, come right here, and play golf. And a lot of people don't even know there's a golf course at Ascarate Park sometimes, which is amazing. But, it's you come in the roundabout, take a right, there it is, you see it. But it's been here since 1955, and, it's still going. We're still working on it, putting a lot of trees in, working on the grass, the fairways, and the greens. And it's a great place to play, and a great place for kids if they wanted to, learn how to play, So we do all kinds of junior classes for them. And the first tee is here with Christy Albers, which is first tee of Greater El Paso, which is a great organization, that starts hundreds of kids into golf and introduces them into golf. So
Nights Under the Lights, that's also starting tonight.
Yep.
You're running it back from last year. How did you see last year go, and now how are you guys looking forward to this year?
Oh, it's wonderful. One of the things that sold me in El Paso was the night. I just came here to work at a driving range, and as soon as the sun starts to go down, this place starts to cool off. And so what we got is Nights Under the Lights. You come here. It starts from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. The lights go off, and you get large buckets for $6, which is a $2 discount, and you can hit all you want, buy them up and go out there and hit them, and it starts to cool down, 100. When it starts getting in the 100, 110 out here, and you can hit balls at 7, 8 o'clock at night, that's the time to do it. It gets a little hot, but during the day. But no, this is our third year doing that as well, and we've had a great turnout for it. People, it gets busy, and I even got to go out there at 5 o'clock, start setting up spots for the ladies, because I know the guys will be wanting to jump in there, but I got to have enough for all the ladies to come out, and hoping for about 15 or 20 of them. Some of them have waited to pay for it, just coming in, so I'm not dead for sure how many are going to come, but it'll be a good thing. And this runs through September 28th. So, you got all summer plus the beginning, and these lights are great. We have wonderful lights that, you can see your golf ball pretty well out there. So, lighting has come a long way in the last 30 years.
So, Mike, when you're not here and you're not handling everything out at Ascarate, you mentioned UTEP going to games. You go to some of the Chihuahuas games as well, big baseball fan. NBA finals are now set. It's going to be Dallas and Boston. How do you see that series shaping up?
Oh, I think probably Boston. I'm guessing. I don't know. Dallas has finally seemed to put it together. For years they would have like good player. They won it with Dirk, I think, right?
They did. 2011.
Yeah. So they won it with him, but they'll add pieces. They didn't seem to get the right pieces in the last several years. And they got Kyrie out there with him, and Doncic is. So that's a pretty good tandem. But Boston's. It seems like they're there almost every year, right at the, cusp of taking it every time almost. So we'll see, I'm a Bulls fan, so, whoever wins it wins it. In this case, I don't pull for him, I just watch it. So, but I'm looking forward to the UTEP basketball. I know that. I like the pickup they got. They got somebody from Tarleton State, right?
He did.
That's Billy Gillespie. Probably recruited him there, and when Gillespie was here, that was a beautiful thing. He came in, won 6 games, then won 24 the next year. He brought in those 3 junior college players, and so anybody that probably he recruited is you would want on your basketball team. So.
Devin Barnes, that's the name.
Yep, so we're going to see it. They're exciting. Last year they had a little run at the end of the year, so hopefully they can keep it up. I enjoy it. They got a history out there, and they got a great stadium, not a bad seat in the house, same as the football. What a great place to play, basketball or football. Hopefully they can get back into the spotlight. When I was moved here in '94, they were in that WAC and what teams used to come down here. I saw Damon Stoudemire play out there, and
Yep.
I went onto the court afterwards. I wanted to see how tall he was. I was like, he was maybe an inch taller than I am, and I'm not very tall, And I'm like, man, this guy is left-handed and making those threes. I was like, wow, he was really good to see and watch. And we saw Utah come down here with Miller and Van Horn, and then they had the center that played for Orlando. I forgot his name, but he made three NBA players off of that team, Doliak. And so that was, they used to get some great, teams that come to here. Being in the Conference USA, you don't really know. But then again, what happened last year, they had a team in the Final Four, and both teams played in the finals of the NIT.
That's right.
I mean, people are like, well, that was a pretty good team. You saw a lot of good guards last year in the Conference USA.
You did. If people are interested in just getting golf lessons and they want to get a chance to come down here and have a chance to work with you, what do they need to do?
They don't need to do much. All they need to do is get down here, and I have all the clubs. I have bags of sets of golf clubs with trainer grips on them, left-handed, right-handed, juniors, ladies, men's, and that's what I've moved to El Paso to do, is teach golf. So I've been teaching golf in El Paso for 30 years. And they just need to show up. I got a group class every Saturday for adults at 11 o'clock, a group class for kiddos at noon, and then individual lessons, I run those too. And I also teach the community enrichment classes for community college, and I also do the UTEP outreach classes. I've been doing those as well. So, plenty of ways to come down. You just need to call down here if you get your feet wet. It's simple. I'm easy to talk to, so you can come down and I'll help you out with your golf game. And and most of the people come down here 99% of the times. It's like, well, change this on your grip, and all of a sudden you can kind of get it hitting it straighter. So, but yeah, that's what I like to do. I like to teach golf. I like to show them how to do it, and just come down. And if you want to know the number, 771-2392, and you call down here and talk to me or talk to somebody, and they'll point you in the right direction. It's these group classes I've been doing in El Paso forever. It just seemed to work out that way. It was kind of a crazy thing. I was even reading in the newspaper back in like '94, and I was reading the demographics, and I was charging $20 an hour. And I was working at the driving range, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't have many classes, and I was like, wow, the median income right below the highway was $13,000. And I'm like, they don't have $20 to give me for a golf lesson. So I asked Jesse Whittington, he was the owner, and I was working for him. I said, Jess, I'm going to start a little group thing, $5. And then we had 8 kids show up the first Saturday, and I was like, bam. And then I just started doing group classes for men and women and kids, and that's how it kind of started, because, I was just like, well, not everybody can afford $70 for an hour, and they don't need to. They can do it for $14 for kids. That's a pretty good price, and $22 for an adult, if they don't want to. And it's all the same. I'm not teaching anybody any different. I just can't give you enough time if I have 10 people lined up, but I can help you out in a hurry, that's for sure.
I love it. Come see Mike, folks. He'll take care of you. I don't know if he'll give you a discount if you wear a Bulls shirt, but you can try. You can see if you can maybe play to his fandom, and maybe it'll help you out.
Or the Cubs, huh?
That's exactly right. That's true. Very true. Hey, great to see you. Thanks for having us, and thanks for starting us off.
You got it, guys. You enjoy the rest of the evening. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.
You got it. Mike Smith getting us going, the head PGA pro out here at Ascarate as we get started here on the show. Come back with more in a moment, but first let's go to Charlie Wan and get ourselves this traffic update.
What we have is a few rough edges I want to go over. First of all, in the Valley, Independence and San Juan, that crash just happened. Now, this one, PD just arriving at the scene right now. Again, that's Independence and San Juan. In central area, Piedras in Wyoming. Again, this one, PD just arrived there. Piedras in Wyoming, give them room. Also, they're still working the crash in Northeast. Was with injury, Railroad and Hondo Pass. Where are we having the brakes? Quite a bit. I-10 Hawkins, both sides. That's your shopping area. I-10 Trowbridge, Paisano to Trowbridge. Big traffic right here. At Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Remcon. Congratulations, grads. Celebrate that special occasion at Leo's Restaurant. Treat him or her to flautas, fajitas, gorditas, chicken de mole, chile con carne, and chicken breast. Much more there on the menu. Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Remcon. Charlie 1600, ESPN El Paso.
Back here on Sports Talk, 23 now past the hour as we continue. This story slid through the cracks yesterday. We should mention it, with the NCAA agreeing to end transfer rules permanently. What this means is not only will athletes who lost a year of eligibility in that 2019-2020 season have their year restored, but the bigger story is this, okay? And that is athletes are now able to transfer an unlimited number of times without penalty. Let me repeat that. Athletes can transfer an unlimited number of times without penalty. It used to be where after your first transfer, you had to sit out a year. And now you could essentially play 4 years of college sports and go from school to school to school and never sit out the entire time.
You know, the interesting part is I remember when this was first coming up, coaches were worried about the one-time transfer rule, that somebody could go without any sort of penalty and transfer one time from one institution to another. And now it's the wild, wild west, Steve. It's unlimited, amount of times that these guys can hit the portal, go off to another team, and I think we will still see guys go 4 years with 4 different teams. And I don't think that's necessarily a great thing right there.
I think it's terrible. And the reason I don't like it more than anything else is because if you're a coach, right, it doesn't matter what sport, you could be a coach anywhere, you have to prepare to coach your team for one season and then lose them all. If athletes will stay with you in your program, especially if they're big-time contributors, that's an added bonus, guys. But for the most part, if you don't play, you can leave. If you do play, you can go. And that's why, to me, college athletics is so different now than it used to be because you can't coach and hope to develop talent. And if you are lucky enough to develop, they could bail on you the next year, especially if they break through and have a great season.
You know, the ones who suffer the most, and we've said this before, but it's the fans. The fans are the ones who suffer the most because if they start to latch on to any of these players, think about some of the recent players who've transferred from UTEP over the last couple of years. Sule Boom going to Xavier, being the Big East Player of the Year. Bryson Williams going over to Texas Tech, first team All Big 12 after having a lot of success over here at UTEP. You talk about Jacob Cowing, an All-American who left here as a wide receiver, killed it at Arizona, is now playing with the 49ers. It's just, the thing right there where you see transfers and it really hurts the fans because the fans latch themselves onto these guys and they just want to root for them.
Imagine in professional sports, all leagues, if every single athlete, every player had 1-year contracts and became a free agent every year, where you are not able to lock them down to a multi-year contract. So essentially that's what college athletics is turning into right now. Imagine if any sport out there, no matter who it is, no matter what athlete it is, professional-wise, you only get them for 1 year. That's it. And they could go from team to team to team every year, and that's essentially what college sports is turning into now.
It's like fantasy football or fantasy anything, right? Because you redraft and you start a new team every single year. It's so strange. It's bizarre what college athletics has really turned into. The money is influencing all of this right here as well. So, yeah, it gets a little ugly when you talk about multiple times where players can transfer or unlimited times.
And that's why NIL is important, because NIL could, in effect, keep certain student athletes around maybe longer than they would without it. But once again, I don't know how this is good for the fan. And maybe it's one of those questions, you ask our listeners to chime in either at 600 ESPN El Paso on Twitter and X or on our mobile app where you can listen to the show and also weigh in, because I'd love to know from their perspective, you can't grow attached to student athletes anymore. In fact, the fact that UTEP men's basketball, let's just take them for example, okay, lost only so far this offseason their walk-ons, and not a single scholarship player yet has transferred, that's nothing short of unbelievable, especially with these new rules that have come out.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in today's college sports where a team stays intact. It tells you that two things. Number one, UTEP's established a strong culture for basketball that these players have bought into at some level. And then number two, the NIL is really working because you heard when, we had members of the minor collective join us on this show, retention is a big part of their NIL, not just going out and trying to recruit the best players out there, but trying to retain all the talent that they can. So right now, UTEP's in a good place here of retaining the players on the basketball team. Let's see how they continue to try to do that because guys like David Terrell, man, he's going to be a hot commodity here in the future.
He is. He is. And I'm sure once again, especially if his scoring goes up. I mean, that's the thing. Right now, I guess the good news for Miner fans is as great a player as Terrell was getting all the Freshman of the Year accolades, he wasn't averaging double digits in scoring. If David Terrell was averaging 10 or 12 plus a game as a freshman, he probably wouldn't still be here right now. Or it would have cost UTEP 2 to 3 times as much money in NIL to keep him as they might have paid otherwise.
Yeah, and now it's all about playmaking. How can he be a better scorer from beyond the perimeter? And once he gets those things under his belt as a sophomore next year and he takes a next step up, it will be very difficult for UTEP to keep him. And then other players on this team. I mean, Corey Camper Jr. next year will be a senior, so he'll have an opportunity to maybe be a grad transfer if he wants or play his final season here at UTEP.
That's true. Because you're right. He'll have his last year. Although I thought he came in as a sophomore, or came in as a junior.
I got to double check on that one. If regardless of Corey Camper Jr., there's also Devin Barnes. He was a sophomore last year, so he's going to enter as a junior this year. So he could also be a grad transfer. You talk about Ahmad Bynum. He has 2 years of eligibility as well. So you talk about younger players here on this UTEP team versus what they're normally used to.
I feel like the hardest part right now is to try to look at the roster and figure out who would have been college eligible 2019-2020. Because ultimately, that's the year you will now get back as far as, a year that you would have otherwise not been able to play. If certain student athletes have sat out a year, they would get that back as well, obviously.
Yeah, I would be curious because it's like you have to be a junior college kid or a college kid during that 2020 season. I'm curious which players are on or whoever on their team has been that. I mean, Derek Hamilton had JUCO ties. Not sure if that was the pandemic season. Also, Derek Hamilton, Kevin Kalu. He came straight out of a prep school, so you talk about him. He's a true high schooler guy. He's not somebody who's going to be affected by the COVID year.
Good point. Alberto Dueta with us for the first time right now. Alberto, you tell me, as you had a chance to hear this and learn that suddenly student athletes can transfer as many times as they want without having to worry about any sitting out penalties. What's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Well, the first thing that came to mind to me, and I told you, is like, well, how many guys want to transfer more than once, right? Or more than 3 times like that? It doesn't sound logistically. I'll say that again. Is how many guys want to transfer more than three times? It just doesn't sound like a logistic. It sounds like a logistic nightmare, not something you want to do. But I think that soon we're going to start entering the era of guys coming into their athletic programs and telling coaches very honestly, hey, this group of 5 or this school over here or this school over here, they offered me this much, and if you want me to stay, you're going to have to offer me a competing amount of money. I think that's going to start getting to fans, and that's going to be not a good thing for some kids in particular, right, when the stories start coming out. But
sure,
it's all about the money, and it's always been about the money. So I think if communities can come up with NIL resources to keep kids around, then they will. And I think that McNeese is one of the schools that you can point out and say they did that. They had a great year. They went to the tournament, and they're a smaller school. How did they do it? Well, they put a lot of money together to put themselves a good team together.
I mean, take like Keontae Kennedy, right? He started at Xavier, then played 2 years at UTEP, then Memphis, then Cal. Where's he now?
I think he's done.
Is he
think
done?
So.
Are we sure he's
You're
done?
right. That's a good point. Are we sure he doesn't have some kind of other year of eligibility? You didn't. I don't even think we have record of the ones that he decommitted from, because at one point he was committed to TCU. He decommitted from them. At one point he was committed to Vanderbilt when he left UTEP initially, and before he got the Memphis spot. So let's see what happens.
What were you going to say, Michael?
He's with California, Keontae Kennedy.
Still with Cal.
Yes, sir.
One more year, I guess.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, that's the crazy thing is, He's already played 5 years. How much more could you possibly get from him? Is he really done? Do we know that for sure? Could he keep playing more basketball? Could
possibly
Keontae Kennedy be the first person to ever play 6 or 7 years of college basketball in his 4 years of eligibility?
Possibly so. I guess in today's college basketball, you can never put anything past it, right?
It is really crazy. But that's really what it's turning into now in the college athletics world. And, we've always been told that, scholarships are renewable from year to year, but most normally programs honor that. They're not going to just take it away. But now the student athlete has all the power. If they feel like, A, they're not getting enough playing time, go someplace else. If B, they're getting great playing time, but they don't like the coach, go someplace else. Or C, they get great playing time, they like the coach, but they're going to get paid more money someplace else. Then they're just going to take off and leave. That's really what it's turning into now, guys.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is there is a precedent of coaches bouncing around pretty quickly. Think of Steve Lutz, who just got the Oklahoma State job and hired away Jeremy Cox from UTEP. He went from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, then he goes over to Western Kentucky for just 1 year, and now he's already at Oklahoma State. So you talk about ascension right there. Coaches can do it anytime they want. So I guess that's the argument, for something like players being able to hit the portal whenever they want.
Earlier today, EA Sports issued their trailer for College Football 25. Now, this was a 4.5-minute trailer voiced by Kirk Herbstreit. And all of a sudden, like in the middle of the video, randomly, of all things, who do you see? You see UTEP. You see UTEP playing on a turf against Sam Houston State. You see Cade McConnell in at quarterback at number 11 on the first dropped trailer from EA Sports. Guys, this was not expected. I guess EA decided we're going to include everybody in this thing. We're going to show you. Even UTEP is going to get a little cameo spot along with Sam Houston State.
I think UTEP fans are real excited about this one right here. First off, the anticipation for College Football 25 is through the roof. Every little leak that people see on social media, it's reacted to in a big way, and rightfully so. I mean, it's been since the 2014 season when NCAA football put out a college football video game. So now having a chance to see it here, 10 years removed. 10 years down the line with UTEP being in the official gameplay trailer. That's really cool. And then Cade McConnell, our very own. I mean, I know he was very excited about that one right there.
Yeah, because you were wondering who would be the quarterback for UTEP this season, at least as far as EA Sports is concerned. And, well, the answer is, for now, number 11 is the quarterback for the Miners. So that was also exciting. He handed the ball off to number 20. Do we know who that was?
I think that's Daron Trice, if I'm not mistaken. So that's Sam Houston State's former running back. And he plays he plays for the Miners now. So interesting.
Yeah, that was, because that was my first question is, all right, we know McConnell's got it, but when he hands the ball off, it doesn't show you the actual player who gets the ball. It just shows you just see 20's got it and he's running with it. So I was just kind of wondering who is that individual and who are we looking at right now? And I guess you're right. Daron Trice is exactly who that was coming off the highlights.
So it's just exciting, right? Because the fact that UTEP's even in this, like there's only a few universities who are actually featured in this original gameplay, I guess, trailer that we saw today. And I saw some people on social media say the only thing they missed was to capture just a 1, 2, 3 second clip of the picturesque view of the Sun Bowl. That's the one thing that EA missed on this one right here. Other than that, I mean, hey, it was taking place in Sam Houston State, at least the first one. Yeah. So, yeah, you get it. And, hey, did you notice that Sam Houston State was beating UTEP? It was like 24-20.
Yeah, I saw that. It was a really good game in the third quarter, too. So I did notice that as soon as I was checking that out, guys. That's for sure. But point is, do we know for sure also that they missed on it? Because have we seen the true flyover of the Sun Bowl, and do we know for a fact that the mountains aren't included?
The listener who said that was saying this to the gameplay trailer specifically. I'm assuming that once you actually play the game, you'll be able to see the picturesque views of the Sun Bowl.
Yeah, because I thought that when the trailer showed the UTEP turf, all you really saw was just UTEP. You didn't really get it was a limited view that they didn't really really give you any kind of overhead pan or anything like that.
Can we just compliment that they got the right branding, the right colors, and everything like that? I mean, gosh, sometimes it's Texas, El Paso, UT, and then El Paso or whatever, that kind of thing. So the fact that they got the branding right is good.
I heard a rumor that Cade McConnell could be dropping by the show today, and maybe you'll even get his reaction towards being featured, at least in the trailer, and having an opportunity to see UTEP as part of that.
He just got here yesterday. He's been a busy man. He wasn't able to join us here on the show today, but he said he might pop by here in our second hour to give us his thoughts, and then if so, regardless, we'll have him next week. He'll be with us Tuesday, Thursday, normal format, back with us in the mix.
I know that people are now starting to play the game because I've seen that there's initial reviews of College Football 25, and there are people that are getting, I guess, a sneak peek at the game. I really wonder when players will have their opportunity to get their first shot at playing with their likeness.
I was thinking about this. The one thing that is going to be a big unveiling is going to be when players for these universities get to play it for the first time. I'm assuming we're going to get a lot of social media videos. I'm assuming that we'll get something from UTEP and everybody playing as themselves, or as UTEP specifically against other teams in College Football 25.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about that as we get closer to the big reveal. All right, 39 past the hour as Sports Talk continues. We will come back. We're waiting until 6 o'clock today. Tim Haggerty is going to be stopping by a little bit later with story time from the ballpark as we get ready for the Chihuahuas and the Round Rock Express. But in the meantime, let's come back after ABC 7 with more of your calls live here at Ascarate Golf Course. And tell you what, folks, if you've never been out to Ascarate, this is the time to do it. And the sun will be setting in a couple of hours. The gals going golfing will kick off at 6 p.m. as soon as we wrap things up. A lot going on out here, and stick around with us. We'll continue with more in a moment. 600 ESPN El Paso. 45 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. UTEP today released their volleyball schedule for the 2024 season, and I like this, guys. There's two big tournaments in the non-conference at Memorial Gym. The Borderland Invitational, September 5th through the 7th. That's a Thursday through Saturday. And then the Southwest Showdown. That's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, September 20th through the 22nd. And immediately, you look at the powers that will be in these tournaments, and there's some good ones. In fact, teams that finish top 100 RPI, Stephen F. Austin's going to be in one, Texas State's going to be in one, Southeastern Louisiana as well. This is not going to be an easy schedule for UTEP, and I love it. I think this was going to go a long way, guys, and excited about 17 home matches here coming up in the 2024 season.
Yeah, you talk about the great run that UTEP volleyball had to close out last season. That was one of those things that just got this team fired up and ready to go here for the future. When we talk about this schedule here in particular, Steve, I love the Utah Classic, having a chance to play Utah, Green Bay, Utah State, in Salt Lake City, Utah. Then you talk about the South Dakota Classic, Iowa State, Montana State, South Dakota. A lot of quality teams. So while the Miners have 17 home games, and those are going to be great ones, I love the Southwest Showdown, like the teams that you mentioned. Those road games as well in non-conference will be a lot of fun to watch.
Western Kentucky has the top RPI returning, 19. Utah State, in case you're wondering, 24. Iowa State, 29. Stephen F. Austin, 39. Texas State, 46. Then you've got UTEP at 56. Grand Canyon, 78. Southeastern Louisiana, 82. NMSU, 84. And Liberty, 90. So 9 top 100 RPI opponents based on last season, which is great for the program, great for really, head coach Ben Wallace, and looking forward to what should be a pretty interesting schedule, especially when you realize this, guys. UTEP is not playing in Las Cruces. Their road matches this year will be Miami against FIU, Ruston against Louisiana Tech, Jacksonville against Jack State, and Lynchburg against Liberty. Home conference matches will be Sam Houston, New Mexico State, Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, and Kennesaw State. And you know UTEP they can't wait to get Western Kentucky at home, considering that team finished 19th in RPI.
Exactly, and they were the former Conference USA champions. That's the team that to beat in Conference USA, and to have them at Memorial Gym, that's huge for this volleyball program. Not to mention Grand Canyon, they won the WAC last year. Southeastern Louisiana, they won the Southland last year. That's 3 conference champion teams that UTEP's facing at home this season.
Yep, absolutely right. Meanwhile, El Paso Locomotive FC announced that forwards Armando Moreno, Joaquin Rivas, and goalkeeper Jamali Waite all received international call-ups for their respective national teams for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, which was announced today. So you look at Jamaica, where Waite will be in net. And they've got matches with the Dominican Republic Thursday, June 6th. Dominica, Sunday, June the 9th. He's 25 years of age. He's going to try to contend for that starting goalkeeper spot because their veteran goalkeeper and captain, Andre Blake, was ruled out with a meniscus injury for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So big opportunity for him for Jamaica. As far as Moreno and Rivas, they will be joining El Salvador, kicking off its World Cup qualifiers, facing Puerto Rico Thursday the 6th, and then St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and that's going to be Sunday, June the 9th. So big opportunities for those 3. Obviously, the downside to that is the Locomotive will be without them for a few games.
So Moreno has 15 appearances with El Salvador. And you talk about Waite, he has 8 appearances with the Jamaican national team. So these guys have done it before. They have experience. For Rivas, he's going to be the one who maybe comes in with a little bit more of, a little bit more kind of, kind of inexperience here at this level. But you tell me, Alberto, is this a big deal for Locomotive FC to lose these players right here? Or do you think they kind of were prepared for stuff like this?
No, I think they were certainly prepared, but it'll certainly affect their game plan going into tomorrow as these guys are going to go off to play with their national teams. This is a worldwide problem as all leagues right now that are finishing up. There's a Champions League, there's still USL, there's some other leagues still playing. All those players right now are going to soon stop playing. Tomorrow's the Champions League final. Soon stop playing and then immediately go report with their national teams that are already on site preparing for these qualifying games or Copa America preparation games. So there's going to be a lot of they're going to get tired. They're going to get worn out, and these guys are going to be affected by it on all levels, I think.
I think Moreno, though, he scored a goal for El Paso Locomotive FC recently.
Yeah, he had that double to win
right.
to win that last game. So he's coming in great form, and I think that he wants to ride that into his national team's games. And I'm sure that he wants to have a good performance so that he can get called up for a World Cup that's going to be here in the United States and help his team contribute and make a tournament, which is being expanded from 32 to 48 teams. So we may see more teams with smaller contributions on the national stage now get bigger opportunities.
Do you like the fact that 16 more teams are now being included in the World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, as a lover of the sport and just going to consume as much soccer, when the World Cup comes around, I tell my friends, don't talk to me. I'm watching every single game from start to finish, and that's what I do for a whole month. And I think this is someone who that's what I like to do nothing but watch soccer. That's going to be beneficial for me because I'm going to get more games, and I'm going to enjoy that. Some people think it's going to dilute the talent of it, but I mean, I'm sure that in time it will balance out.
Does this mean that if in 2 years you're working for us full-time, you'll need to take that entire month off and possibly risk losing your job just to watch World Cup action?
I'm trying to accumulate enough PTO for that very occasion.
They don't roll over from year to year. Yeah, you're gonna have a rough.
It's gonna be a rough outing.
It is not going to be easy for you, Alberto. Not easy at all. All right, 8 in front of 5 as we continue here on Sports Talk. Mike Smith's going to be back in a little bit. He'll get a chance to talk to the boys. I'm going to be heading out here in the end of the hour and going downtown to the ballpark for the celebration of life for Matt Keats. I know some of you might have read the tributes on social media as well as in the El Paso Times. Matt Keats was a friend. He was a client of ours and just one of the great sports fans for El Paso. We tragically and suddenly lost him a few weeks back, and we were wondering, how would we get an opportunity to remember Matt, and it will be here this evening with a celebration of life that'll be happening out at the ballpark, something Matt loved more than anything. Some of you listening to this radio show would remember Matt's voice on the Keats Southwest commercials, as Keats Southwest sponsored our UTEP player of the game for a number of years on Minor Talk after basketball. And Matt, as good a guy as you'll ever find in this city, had an unbelievable memorabilia collection, loved sports, loved his Chicago teams, but loved El Paso, loved UTEP, the Rhinos, the Chihuahuas, and about as good a human being to be around, Adrian, as you would ever find.
Yeah, you talk about his contributions and his support to local sports, local athletes. That was, one of the great things that he would do with his business, Keats Southwest. But Matt was such a great person, aside from just, what we knew him as a partner here on this show. And so, yes, this is going to be one of those things, Steve. I'm really excited that everybody will be out there downtown El Paso. This is right up his alley. He's a huge sports fan and somebody who really loved everything when it comes to local sports.
And if he knew the turnout he'll end up getting tonight for this celebration of life, trust me, it would bring a tear to his eye as it will to ours as well. So I'll be heading out, but don't worry, you're in very good hands. The boys are going to be here with you for the 5 o'clock hour. So more with Adrian, Alberto, Michael, plus possibly Cade McConnell, Mike Smith, and a little bit later, Tim Haggerty, story time. Can't wait to hear what he's going to be talking about. In the meantime, we're hanging out with you out here at Ascarate Golf Course. In fact, if you've never been out, what a great opportunity to come. You can hit range balls under the lights starting tonight. The gals going golfing will begin as well here from tonight through June the 28th. Hour number 2, right around the corner. Stay with us, folks. Sports Talk continues right here, 600 ESPN El Paso.
I'm with you. All right, let's do it, Angel. All right, we are back here out at Ascarate Golf Course. We are here and getting ready for the busy night ahead. It is gals going golfing and nights under the lights about to start out here. Along with Alberto Ureta, Michael Plundo, I'm Adrian Broadus. We got Mike Smith, who's joining us here again, head PGA professional. Mike, let's talk a little other things aside from just golf. I appreciate you stopping back by with us right now. It's been really exciting. We'll be here all the way up till 6:15, first pitch for the El Paso Chihuahuas. But Dads and Rides, this is an event that's coming right around the corner. This will be out here at Ascarate Park. And it's a great opportunity for all the fathers out there for Father's Day weekend to come out here and have some fun.
Yeah, it's on Sunday, June 16th, Father's Day event at Ascarate Park Festival area, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., and it's free. It's free. And so if you have a car and you want to participate, it's free as well. So Lupe Leyva, the events coordinators, put this together with the help of Tim Fulton, the interim Parks and Recreation director. And also, they've got a bunch of swim lessons going on this year. So Amy Wheeler and her team have done a great job. That's always something that I'm amazed at when I hear people don't know how to swim. That's a life-saving thing, and just swimming is, in this heat, you got to jump into something, or you're like me with the garden hose.
All right, so do you got a pool, or are you going to the aquatic center over here?
I have a 3.5, 4 foot pool for me and my dogs.
I love it.
And a garden hose. That's about it. But I do swim. When my daughter was small, I brought her down. I kind of backflipped her on this one. I'd say, all right, honey, let's go play golf, let's go swimming. And then I'd say, all right, well, first we got to go play a few holes of golf. And I'd get her to do that, and then I'd take her out. It was a blast. They have a little mushroom in the kids' pool, and we'd play tag and hide and go seek in there when she was, just 3 feet tall. It was great, man. I loved it.
Nice. A lot of people learn how to swim out there. Actually, they're doing preschool swim lessons, ages 4 and 5, ages 6 to 9, 30-minute sessions. It starts Tuesdays and Thursdays on June 8th, so right around the corner. But the times include 9 a.m. to noon and then 4:30 to 6. So great opportunities for people who are just looking to learn how to swim for the first time. You just mentioned it right there. It's amazing that some people do not know, but it's a reality, especially for some of the youngsters out there. $40 for 8 lessons, that's a steal right there. And what a better place to learn how to swim than here at Ascarate.
Yeah, you need to learn how to swim, and it can be a lot of fun, and it can be life-saving. You need to learn, and as he jumping in cool water, what a blast. And even the parents, they should probably ask over there, hey, because a lot of the parents don't know how to swim. And I'm sure they could get a lesson. Amy would have the direction to give them lessons, and it's never too late to learn how to swim. It's not that difficult as people maybe are thinking.
So we have, like we mentioned, the preschool swim lessons. There's also family nights starting Thursdays, June 13th, all throughout the month of June to June 27th. Every Thursday, 6 to 8. You can take advantage of special pricing out at Aquatics Family, or excuse me, the Aquatic Center here at Ascarate Park. And then there's also teen nights. Those will be Fridays, June 14th through June 28th. So a lot going on here at Ascarate Park. You mentioned Dads and Rides, Mike. This is an event that's going to be Father's Day weekend. This will be Sunday, June 16th. It's an afternoon event, so it starts at 2. It runs all the way to 8 o'clock. Car shows, food trucks, live music. Sounds like a great time. And, hey, you can play a little golf. You can go swim. You can take a look at some of those great cars that will be out there, have a bite to eat with the food truck, and, take advantage of live music.
And go to the playground they just put in. They just put in a brand new playground, an all-inclusive type playground type thing, so you can do that. And anything. This park has been around and been part of this community for forever. So, and the Parks and Recreation Department, under the helm of Tim Fulton, is trying to make the community aware of it and better it and listen to the community and see what goes next. They have fishing, right? You can always fish here. So that makes it great. So. Anyway, back to golf real quick. So the Gals Going Golfing starts tonight, 6 to 8 p.m. And if they can't make it tonight, we will prorate it for them to miss one class tonight if they just heard about this. And they can call down here and sign up, and we'll prorate it a little bit for them. And they can join the last 4 sessions. But it's a lot of fun. We're going to do prizes and have long driving contests and teach them how to grip it, putting contests, chipping contests. Last class is a scramble. We have prizes for them, so it's going to be a good time. It'll be a little warm. Put your sunscreen on and make sure you hydrate properly.
Yeah, I hear you on that, man. Hey, tell us a little bit about the format, because I see you all practicing on the range first for Gals Going Golfing, but then afterward, I see you all hit the golf carts and then go out and play. So tell us a little bit about the format.
So the first 2, there's 5 sessions. They're 2 hours each. The first 2 are really just to get them to be able to hit the ball, get a good grip, stance, and we're going to break it up into the range, chipping, and then putting. So we'll kind of hit all 3 of them the first 2 sessions. And then the last 3, we'll get them on the golf course, 4th session a little bit, introduce it to them, let them play a couple holes. We'll do a long driving contest. We'll have a chipping contest, a putting contest. And then the 4th, or the final class, the 5th class in June 28th, we're going to play a scramble. So we'll break it off, try to, understand how each player plays, give each of them a chance, and let them play a little scramble out there. Get them used to it, get them on the course, see what it's about, learn that, hey, this is the teeing area, that's the green. You don't drive the cart on the green. You don't drive the cart on the tee box. This, that, and the other. And some of the rules, we hit rules. Golf is, when you're learning, there's not a lot of rules. It's kind of just like you drop another ball and try to do better than the last one. So, but, with certain rules on where the carts are played and how safety is always an issue. last thing you ever want to do is get hit with a club or a ball to ruin your week for sure.
Right.
So, you know, just where to stand and not be able to, because that golf ball can come off the side of the club and 90 degrees and knock you in the shin if you're lucky.
Right,
You know,
right.
so-
No, it's a good point.
But, yeah, it'll be great, man. It's our third year doing it, and it's always been fun. And you know what, sometimes I see some people that I started playing golf 25, 30 years ago, you know. Somebody, a lady came last year that I hadn't seen in a long time, and she showed up. And, you know, I used to give her a bunch of lessons over at that driving range on Lee Trevino. So,
Nice.
yeah, just something to get going. I keep it busy. I like doing it, you know. So, and when the Chihuahuas are in town, you know, I maybe try to get out there for the last couple innings, you know.
There you go. There you go. Hey, let me ask you this, Mike. So you talked about how you've been in the sport of golf and you've coached this sport for 30 years. How'd you get into it?
Well, when I was a kid, my mom's boyfriend was played golf, and my mom a little bit. And I grew up on a little 9-hole course, no golf pro. Out there, out in the middle of the country, it was absolutely out in the middle of the country, in between 3 little towns. And the funny thing, it's named Shawami. So I grew up in a little town, Watsika, which is named after Princess Wachiki. And so Shawami came up with the name Sheldon, which is 3 miles due east, and Watsika, and then Milford. And they took those out together, put a little Indian, you know, as the logo, and came up with that. And I grew up out there. I'd get dropped off, you know, and there were some friends in town that played, and we'd get rides to and fro, and I just ended up playing, and I liked it because you know, I could go do it by myself. I could, you know, kind of like basketball. You can practice basketball by yourself. You can practice golf by yourself, and I like that. And I'd get out there, get dropped off, and I'd go play. We'd do, you know, go through the creeks. The creeks run like 5 or 6 holes. And, you know, catch turtles, and we'd hunt golf balls and sell them back to people for a quarter, and you know, just. And then when I was 15, I was lucky enough to, my grandma lived in Monroe, Louisiana, and she said, hey, come on down. And she knew I wanted to play college golf, but I wasn't good enough I wasn't winning the tournaments in my area, you know. And I'm like, I want to get better, you know, but there wasn't a golf pro at the course. So she said, I'm reading about Johnny Myers, you know, this golf pro at a 9-hole municipal golf course that was teaching all these champions, you know, even tour players. And so I went down there, and that was I was 15, and took lessons with Mr. Myers, and 2 years later walked on the golf team at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida, and played golf down there 4 years. And we had, you know, in Florida, you know, some of these Division II schools, you know, I look back, and Florida Southern was in our conference, and you look back and you say, well, Florida Southern had Lee Jansen, Rocco Mediate, and Marco Dawson. And I'm like,
wow.
No wonder we weren't winning the tournaments. You know, I mean, it was pretty loaded, and they weren't the best. It was between them and University of Tampa. They had a little kid, Jeff Leonard, that played really well. But I went down there, and I think in '83 they had won. It was 2 years before I showed up. They won the Florida Intercollegiates, which was the first time a Division II school won the Florida Intercollegiates in 35 or 7 years. So. You know, they got good golf programs now, you know, and even in the women's down there. So, you know, it was a good place to go to school. I had a blast. I never even saw it. It was Winter Park, saw an aerial view of a college with a lake next to it, and it was right near Orlando. I said, well, that's way better weather than Illinois.
Did you give lessons there?
No, I didn't. I started teaching with Mr. Myers. He used to teach a Culver Military Academy camp in Culver, Indiana, from Louisiana. They had him going up there. It used to be the largest summer camp in the United States. It have 800 and some kids. They had, you know, it's a school. It's the military Culver, and it's on Lake Maxinkuckee up there. But I ended up, he'd ask me, and I'd go up there and teach. I taught summer. It was for 3 weeks originally, and then it went to 2 weeks, and I would teach it, taught it 10 years with him. And that's the summer before I went to my senior year. So Mr. Myers told me, hey, I'm going to be teaching this golf camp in Indiana, you know. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll let me get into it. And that's what changed my game. I got with him for 3 weeks. My parents came to pick me up with my grandparents to go to New Jersey to Cape May, they came in and said, and 2 weeks was over, and I walked out, and and I said, hey, I'd really like to stay another week, and can I do it? And my mom was like, sure, if that's what you want to do, and she gave me the opportunity to stay another week. So I went from shooting, low 80s, maybe a high 70. That's when I kind of started hitting. Those 3 weeks, I got 5 hours of instruction every day. And before that, I would only get to see Mr. Myers in Louisiana at spring break and like 10 days in the summer. So that's when it took. And, golf is all about getting in the right positions, coming down and having a good grip. There's no really good golf pros out of position. You can start pasting them on their way down. They all start to look very similar, so.
Good point. Hey, when we talk about just your experience here at Ascarate, how would you describe it for just all the years that you've been here and just, the experience for golfers to actually experience it and the changes it's had over the years?
It's gotten a lot better. I think I was here as the assistant pro for just a couple of years. And before that, Chris White, they had the coupler system. And I think it was 05, 06 in that area, they put in a sprinkler system, an automated sprinkler system, which changed the game,
Revolutionary.
Before, finally they did that. We've got lights on the driving range. We've got, championship tees. We've got a crew and staff that care about things, our staff in the shop and in the cart barn. Most of them play golf, and they're good, and they'll go play with anybody out there. And it's kind of like that just makes it. Even the maintenance staff guys, we got guys that play golf, and when they play golf, they tend to care more. They take care of things. They look out for the golf course because they play here. And when I came down here 18 years ago, I was always like, well, I'd like to get the golf course in better shape because I'm going to play it a lot, So, I want, and that's what I tried to do. And then I brought my lessons, and do the lessons. And we just got a great staff, best staff I've had by far in the last few years than ever before. Just kind of, it all worked out, like so many things. So, we've been blessed in that. And the experiences, we got great groups. They've been playing here for years. It's family, All of a sudden, the grandfather played here, the father, the kids, and it's just the snowball effect, They all keep playing here, and they all want to see it get better and better, and that's what we do. And golf is all about camaraderie, fellowship, They play with their buddies. They're not all here to shoot 68. They're out here to have a good time, and that's what we're in. We're in the entertainment business, really. You're out here to talk and let them have a good time, and try to make it to have a good time. And we've done, Classico does a great job with David Hernandez and his crew. So, it's looking up, and we're always interested in listening to suggestions. You got to, because people come up with things that I don't think about, and we use them, some of them. So it's always good to talk to the people.
Last time, Nights Under the Lights, every Friday and Saturdays, starting tonight, all throughout September. September 28th is the last night.
Right.
Let our listeners know a little bit more about this.
Okay, so you want to come down. It starts at 7 o'clock. You can buy large buckets of balls for $6, and you can hit balls till 10 o'clock. The last bucket sold about 9:20, so I'll give you time to finish off that bucket and just get done by 10, but it's a way to get out, on Ascarate when it's not super hot out, and it starts at 7 o'clock, runs 10 o'clock Friday and Saturday nights, now through September 28th, so come on down.
Hey, this is year 2 of us being out here. Thanks again for inviting us out here.
You got it. Next time
that was a lot of fun.
You call me back because I want to talk more about Cubs, Illini, and UTEP.
Let's do it. That sounds great. Mike Smith, that's our head PGA professional here at Ascarate Golf Course. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, more from Ascarate Golf Course as we continue Sports Talk here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
In the El Paso Metroplex, we have a few rough spots still. I want to go to the Valley first. Zaragoza Americas, we have a crash on this one, blocking here. And plus, you're going to get that bridge congested here, Zaragoza Americas. Then we go to Central. Copia in Lebanon still working that crash. Heavy traffic. You're on the brakes here. I-10 East Cotton through the Red Hills area. Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Rimcon. Congratulations, grads. Celebrate that special occasion at Leo's Restaurant. Treat him or her to the Pequeña top sirloin steak or chicken breast, chile con queso, flautas, fajitas, the full menu. And also we have the popular Mr. T specials, famous tortilla soup, Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Grimcon, Charlie 1600, ESPN El Paso.
All right, welcome back. We are live out here at Ascarate the golf course. As we continue, we're talking aquatics. We're talking about all the events that they've got here, including all the golf events like tonight, Nights Under the Lights. It gets started at 7 o'clock. Take advantage of $6 range buckets here at Ascarate, starting at 7 all the way till 10 o'clock tonight. And that is all we're talking about here. We're also talking about aquatics out here. As the Aquatic Center out at Ascarate has been busy, they're going to be hosting the swim lessons here in June for preschoolers ages 4 and 5 and ages 6 to 9. 30-minute sessions. It's just $40 for 8 lessons. And for more information, visit epcountyparks.com. Also want to mention one more time, Dads and Rides. That's the Father's Day celebration event that's coming up on Father's Day here at Ascarate Park. That's also real exciting stuff and more events that are just coming out here at Ascarate Park, which is a lot of fun. Again, back with Michael Plendo and Alberto Ureta. The one story that we have not gotten a chance to talk about, guys, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, this boxing match has been postponed, and it's because Mike Tyson, who is dealing with an ulcer, he experienced a health issue on a flight to LA, from LA to Miami, that required medical attention on Sunday. It didn't appear that this would affect the fight, but now it looks like Tyson's most recent health checkup has warned him against fighting so soon. Is this one a bummer for you, Alberto? Were you really looking forward to this one right here? I know our listeners were excited about it either way. It felt like it was a very polarizing fight.
Yeah, I was excited. I was excited to see Mike Tyson re-enter the ring. I was really excited for that, and I think that these, I'll call them novelty fights. I think they're great for the sport of boxing overall. I think it gives it great exposure that it just hasn't had in the last, I'll say, 10, 15 years. So I think that they're great. So it'll be interesting to see when they reschedule this, and we're glad Mike Tyson's okay and that he'll be able to fight. We're glad that they didn't cancel it altogether, right? They could have done that, and so we're glad it's just postponed right now, and let's see what happens in the near future here, and we'll see when they fight. Tyson
versus Paul, it was a sanctioned fight as a professional bout set for 8 2-minute rounds and contested at heavyweight with 14-ounce gloves. This was set to be live streamed on Netflix, actually. Mike, were you big on this one right here, or are you not really a big of a fan of Tyson versus Paul?
You know, anytime Mike Tyson is able to put on the gloves, it's always a must-watch TV, anytime. So I was planning to watch this. You know, I got a group of friends up in Lubbock that are big Jake Paul enthusiasts and are all about this, and I know they're probably just, they got a hand on their face in disappointment because they wanted to see this. But, first and foremost, got to make sure Mike Tyson's health is in the right order, Got to make sure he's okay. He's a legend in the boxing world. So,
yeah.
First and foremost, got to make sure he's okay, but hope they can get this rescheduled soon.
So, you're saying that people are Logan Paul fans? I didn't know anybody who's a Logan Paul fan.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Tell me some Jake Paul fans. What are they about?
So, I got a group of friends up in Lubbock, kind of like my old friend circle that I go to, and they just talk about him nonstop.
I can't believe that.
I feel the same way. I wasn't exactly sure why, how that came to be, but they love him. I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah, I guess it's just, they're polarizing guys, right? They're YouTubers right there. They got their fame through online content, social media content, and now, like Alberto was saying, it's kind of like these parody fights, these off the cuff fights that are not necessarily your traditional fights. So interesting that Paul basketball is ascending in the sport, and also, it's a little bit of a bummer that we won't get this fight as soon as we want it here as we continue. Hey, our telephone number 915-505-6009. Guys, let's talk a little Minnesota-Dallas, what this means for the future, and what do you guys think for the NBA Finals as we continue? The Mavs, interestingly enough, they go on the road against Minnesota here in this Game 5 situation. They had the opportunity to sweep, and I thought that Game 4, there wasn't necessarily those red flags for me for Dallas. However, I felt like Minnesota could at least steal one back at home and make this series a little bit more interesting. That just wasn't the case. Nope. Dallas got off to a great start yesterday, Michael, and it felt like because of the great start that Luka got off to, I think it was a 20-point first quarter, they never really looked back. Dallas had total control in that game, and now Minnesota has exited the playoffs, and now they're going to be going back home.
Yeah, I mean, at one point Dallas was up by 36 in their own home court. Just that's crazy to think about. The Timberwolves in a must-win situation are just getting blown out in front of their fans. I'm sure that's not what they expected, but that was the reality. And Dallas just ran right past Minnesota. They just outplayed them in every game, excluding Game 4. But that didn't really matter, obviously now. But I'm excited for Dallas versus Boston. I think these teams match up really well, and I think this could be seven games.
Wow, it's going to be there's a lot of storylines. Before we dive into those, for Minnesota, it's the Karl Anthony Towns dilemma after this season that kind of lingers. The stench is still there, and I liked what he did in Game 4 to help them out, and he, no doubt about it, got them that victory or helped them to that victory. But I was really, really disappointed in I was really, really disappointed in what we saw from Cat in that Game 5 situation. Like, he just did not show up. He doesn't show up for big games often. And, when it comes to shooting, that's his strength. But playmaking, getting his other teammates involved, sometimes he struggles at. And Karl Anthony Towns, is he the casualty for this team? Like, what's next for Minnesota? Do you just run it back, even with Cat? There might not be great options out there. I don't even know where. Yeah, you would go away from Cat if you're Minnesota.
I think that's a smart thing for Minnesota financially and just for the future. I mean, I think Anthony Edwards is no question about it, this team's franchise player. I think he's the building block now. And I mean, I think, despite this whole dilemma with Karl Anthony Towns, I think Minnesota should be excited. I think this is going to be a competitive team for 5 to 7 years. I mean, Anthony Edwards, wouldn't be surprised if he snags an MVP at one point in his career, but I think you got to move on from Karl Anthony Towns. I think at this point of his career, you can get a really good return for him, so I think you got to ship him off.
What do you think, Alberto?
I see where you guys are coming from. I guess my question there would just be, okay, so you move on from Karl Anthony Towns. Rudy Gobert, we've seen, is not what you want him to be. He doesn't match up well against the all-time great, which is Nikola Jokic. He destroys him. He doesn't like him. I think it's something personal. So you're going to get rid of Karl Anthony Towns and then go where from there for a big man, which you need immediate help there? Where would you go? And is there guys that can come on immediately and make contributions?
So the interesting names that have been floated out there, number one, Brandon Ingram. So would you do Karl Anthony Towns for Brandon Ingram? It's an interesting trade. I probably would say no if I'm Minnesota because, again, I need durability. I need somebody who's going to take me 4 rounds into the playoffs, not somebody who's going to get injured before the playoff starts. And Brandon Ingram has not shown that durability side. The other name that I was hearing was the Knicks. I mean, they would go off and maybe go with Julius Randle plus a couple others and then, try to ship away Karl Anthony Towns that way. I just don't like those options right there. So I would probably decide to stay if those are my options. But you're right. I think you have to break up Gobert and Towns. I think something like that has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't ship him off this year, fine. But, I mean, at least see what's out there. At least see what you can get in return for him. Because, honestly, I think they can still get a good return for him. He's not in his mid-30s. He's not on the brink of retiring. He could still give you some very good play. It's just, what are you going to get for him? What is that return going to look like? And is it going to benefit Minnesota?
Yeah, and you have to figure the only way that it'll benefit Minnesota is if they actually make the finals push. They have to hit the finals. And what we saw this year is they beat the Nuggets. That was a huge accomplishment.
Huge.
I thought, Nuggets, it's the team to beat, and they beat them. But it may have wore themselves out in this whole process, and now they're having this, regroup and figure out what's next. Mike Conley might be the easiest answer. Maybe they keep Gobert. Maybe they end up even keeping Karl Anthony Towns. But they try to upgrade the backcourt alongside Anthony Edwards and get a true number one behind him, or alongside him, I should say. And nothing against Conley. I thought he was a really solid player for this team this past season. But Conley is just getting up there in age. They probably need a little bit more of a serviceable point guard to play alongside.
Got to get younger.
And moving forward. But, for Minnesota, nothing to be ashamed about.
Not
Made
at
a
all.
great run here in the NBA playoffs. Now turning it over to Dallas. This is Kyrie Irving versus his former team in the Boston Celtics. It's Luka versus Tatum. Who's going to win the first title, which is interesting in itself, right? For Tatum, he's been there before. He lost it against Golden State. He can't lose another one, I guess, for his own ego purposes. And then you talk about that Boston nucleus made up of Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I mean, the storylines are endless going into this series in the finals.
Yeah, the Celtics, they've been in this situation before. Unfortunately, fell short to Golden State a couple years back. So, Boston has been here before. And Dallas, they've been in the finals. They're no strangers to this, too. This is their third time in franchise history. And they got, a top 3 player in the league right now who arguably could be the best right now. So, he's got to be a player to watch out for. But I really think that Boston should have this in the bag, just given the recent experience that they had. But I think it's going to 7. I think.
So you got Boston in 7.
I do.
Okay, Alberto, go ahead.
You talk about experience just because Boston has been here before. I'm going to take the other side of that. I'm going to ride with Dallas. I think Dallas gets this done because of the experience that Kyrie has in the finals. He's played on some of the most impressive finals teams in recent memory. So I think that experience that he has, paired with Luka's ability on the court, that's going to be great for the Dallas Mavericks. And for the Celtics, on the other hand, we always talk about opportunities and their window of opportunity. If they don't get it done this year, I feel like the rhetoric that's going to come from the loss in the finals this year is going to be detrimental to a point beyond any repair for the Celtics. There's already rhetoric of breaking up Brown and Tatum, and they haven't lost their second finals. So if that were to happen, imagine what the voices would say then, and that has an effect. Whether people like to say yes or whether people like it or not, it has an effect.
So what do you have it? Dallas in 6? Dallas in 7?
I have Dallas in 7.
Okay.
I think, it wonders if Boston can't get the job done this year. Is their window still open? Is it shutting, slowly? That's a question to think about.
Yeah, and Drew Holiday was probably the best acquisition they had over the offseason. The Kristaps Porzingis acquisition could never be relied upon. When they first got him, I thought to myself, you can't rely on him to be healthy in the NBA Finals because he's never really been healthy for a complete duration of a season, with the exception of a handful. So he's always faced injury issues. You look across the Celtics, I love Derek White. He's a guy you continue to build upon. He's from the San Antonio Spurs.
He's been such a good pickup for them when they got him.
And I feel like they have the nucleus. They have the team to actually win the title here. And if you're talking about a team that is not necessarily the most favorable matchup, maybe it's Dallas with these sizable guys like Derek Jones Jr. down low, even Derek Lively. He's
healthy now.
Yeah, and Lively coming off that neck sprain. You also talk about Maxi Kleba. He was back in that last Game 5 situation for Dallas. So, I feel like, I'm going to pick Mavs in 6. I like the Luka experience. I like the Kyrie experience. I think when you're talking about late game situations, these guys can close out a game. And I feel like American Airlines Center in Dallas is going to be absurd. Like, those fans are going to go crazy. You talk about those fans, how excited they were with the Rangers and their push. You talk about the fans and the Stars push and their playoff push. And now the Mavericks have an opportunity to win it all. Like, they're going to go crazy.
Dallas fans are living their best life right now.
Except for the Cowboys, right? Yeah.
Oh.
We've talked about that one. We've talked about that before. But, I think, all right, I feel good about Dallas in 6. You got Dallas in 7, Alberto. You got Boston in 7. So we all anticipate a good series either way, and I think that's what's going to be the case. I feel like the one thing that everybody, if you don't know this now, everybody's going to realize, man, Luka complains a lot in these games. That's the one knock that you'd have against Luka is, man, he complains a lot to the refs about trying to get calls going his way and stuff like that. That's the one thing. If I could criticize any part of his game, that's the one thing I would knock right there for Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I think to your point about Luka complaining, I thought that interview was pretty funny when he said Oh, I was speaking Slovenian. He just
Yeah.
drew off that question.
Man, he is such a smack
competitor.
talker.
Yeah, competitor.
Wow, he is talking so much smack to the other team's fans, the players, Rudy Gobert in particular. He's got to figure out who he hates on the Celtics so he can try to muster up some hatred for them.
It makes for great TV. I really enjoy it. And you know what? I'm surprised. I'm excited to see what's going to happen when the Celtics will get punched in the mouth. We've seen them be favorites essentially all season. I wonder what's going to happen if they start going down and face true adversity. I wonder if that's going to affect them, if they're going to rally.
Okay, let me ask you guys this question. If the Celtics win, do you feel like Tatum could be a top 5 player in this league? If the Mavs win this, do you feel like Luka is the best player in the league? I'll ask you guys both those questions.
I'll start with the Luka question. I think, yes, if the Mavericks get the job done in the finals, I think Luka Doncic has a great argument to be the best player in the NBA, as I touched upon not too long ago. I think you look at what he's been able to do in the league so far since coming in. Not to mention, guys, he's not even 26 yet, I don't think. He's he's still relatively young, and it makes you think what his future could look like because he's still got some, I think he could play till probably 40 or maybe even past that. Who knows?
And Tatum?
Tatum, I don't know. It's a hard one there because, you look at Boston and their history, and they've been here before, but they haven't been able to get the job done. So I don't know if I can trust Tatum, but, I'm going with my gut. I'm picking Boston. I like this team. I think it's different, but I don't know. That's a hard one.
Well, Alberto, with Tatum, for me, I've just never thought he could ever be the best player in the world. Like, Jokic, to me, is still going to be number one. So how I would answer this one is I'm not going to necessarily crown Luka number one in the world after winning the title here. I still feel like Jokic is the all-around guy right here, and he holds that torch. Luka makes a great argument if he wins it all to be that number one guy. It might be 1A, 1B. But for Tatum, even if he wins this, I don't really necessarily think I could put him ahead of guys like Embiid, guys like SGA, guys like Jokic, guys like Luka, guys like those guys are just clearly guys like Giannis, those guys right there are like franchise difference makers.
All players that are still playing at a very high level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I would also put Jokic as the best in the world, but I'll say this. I'm not trying to knock Luka Doncic, but he hadn't been able to reach the finals without Kyrie. Now with this addition of Kyrie, we see kind of the mojo take place where now he finally gets in. So I think there that has to be said is he didn't will this team into the finals alone, and so neither has Tatum. He has that complementary piece that is Jaylen Brown. So I think that kind of has a lot to do with it. It's not a one-man show as it is. Maybe you can argue that it is in Denver, is where Jokic kind of takes over games, but he also has help there. So I think that, to me personally, Jokic is the best in the world, but it's also about putting teams together where guys can complement off each other and play well, and I think that's what it's about.
And it's just crazy to think about Dallas, too, where they were 2 months ago, guys. They were the 12th seed, not even in the playoff conversation yet, let alone the play-in. And now they're in the finals. So it's just truly remarkable about how they were able to turn around their season late down the stretch, and now they're in the finals.
Hey, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, Caden McConnell might be coming over here very soon. So hopefully get a chance to talk to UTEP's quarterback just briefly here on the show. Then we got story time at the top of the hour. Either way, we got Chihuahuas baseball in less than 45 minutes from now, live from Round Rock. We'll take a break right here as Sports Talk continues here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Great song there, Angel. I really appreciate it as we come back here out at Ascarate Golf Course. Joining us now here in person, Caden McConnell. What a cameo. Kind of like the cameo that he made on the EA gameplay trailer that dropped today. Cade, welcome back to El Paso, man. You just got a chance to spend some time out in Long Beach, California with the fam, and now you're back here in El Paso.
Couldn't be happier to be back. We're back in the Sun City, and boy, is it sunny. It was nice, mid-70s, maybe 80, and now we're getting back up there. It's officially summertime here.
So you and your boys are out here at Ascarate the golf course to hit the driving range, hit nights under the lights, and get excited out here. You play a lot of golf, aside from playing football. What do you shoot typically?
Yeah, typically. So last summer, we were playing a lot with me, Gavin Hardison, Marcus Bellin, Jake McNamara. We were playing probably 3 times a week, and during that time, I finally got down into like my best ever was an 81. I usually sat around the upper 80s, 90-ish range right there. But Marcus Bellin wears the crown for that. He sat, in the high 70s a lot of the times, low 80s very consistently. But huge shout out to Ascarate for having everybody out here. I mean, that's awesome. Nights Under the Lights is really cool. I haven't got to come out to this course too much, but with events like this, you kind of get to see, come out, get a little refresher, and then, of course, go hit some balls, try to work on the swing.
Okay, so I know that Jake hits great shots. He's a big golfer, but give me the scouting report on Jake. Like, what kind of golfer is he?
Right, Jake is my scramble partner. So I don't care what school Jake plays for, whether we're on UTEP right now, transfer. It doesn't matter, right? We're scramble partners till the day we die. And
Battle of I-10. I love it.
And the scouting report is on Jake is if his driver's on and he's hitting it deep off the tee, it's going to be a real tough day because he hits it so far and he gets so much roll off of it that if he can, his irons are usually consistent and his putting's usually decently consistent. His only scary part sometimes is the chipping. Sometimes he'll chip it over that green every now and again, and that's when the scramble comes in. But
that sounds like me today.
Yeah, Jake's a great golfer though. He definitely sat. He was lower than me for sure. Last summer we were playing consistently. He was mid 80s, low 80s.
Judah's with you as well. Give me the scouting report on Judah playing golf.
We're about to see the scouting report on Judah in a second. We're about to find out whether or not he holds a club like a baseball bat or whether he knows how to interlock his fingers.
A wild card.
Oh, complete wild card.
I like it.
Yeah, we might be tease the cat, feed the dog. We might have to do all the little tricks in the book.
Well, Mike Smith's here. He can help you out too. So he taught me a couple things and fixed a couple things on my swing too. So I appreciated him. Hey, you got a chance to see the trailer. Tell me everything.
So cool. So it's actually awesome that we have Judah here too because he was the one that showed it to me first this morning, along with our boy Lane Frank, who sent it to me too. So those were the 2 text messages that I had when I woke up. I finally got up, checked my phone, and I had 2 text messages. One was a screenshot from Lane, and the other was the screenshot from Judah. And they're like, dude, you're in the trailer. Like, we saw you. UTEP's there twice. So cool. And I was like a kid on Christmas morning when they're 5 years old. Like, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Obviously, you grow up playing players in video games. And then, you're probably going to be in the game. I never got confirmation from EA that I was in it or anything like that. And then finally, you're going through the trailer. You see UTEP. You're like, wow, that's cool. We're playing Liberty. We're at home. Like, that was our game. And then it goes to the next clip, and it had my name highlighted right there. And I was like, nah, this is the coolest thing that's, like, ever happened in video game history for me.
All right, what was the reaction like around you?
It was really awesome. I mean, I don't tweet my own tweets very much on Twitter, but like for the first time, I was like, nah, like I want to tweet this out. So I put the picture up on my Twitter, and I've gotten great responses from it. I've had so many people that I have not heard from in a really long time text me, hey, I saw you on the trailer. Did you know you're on there? I was like, yes, I know I'm on there. Like, yes, I know I'm on there. It's so cool. It's like every kid's dream.
How did UTEP even get featured?
I don't know, because if you really go back and look at it, like it's a 3-minute video. There's not that many teams.
That's what we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
There's like 20 teams who were featured in the entire 4-minute video.
Exactly.
That.
And we have 2 clips in it. The one against Liberty, where we're playing against Liberty at home, and then they switched to the next clip where we're playing against Sam Houston at Sam Houston, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
How excited are you for the video game itself?
So excited. I mean, the thing, too, if we're actually talking about, specifics about the video game, the fact that it's going to be different than Madden, that they have so many college culture things, which is what makes college football in it, and the different attributes. In the UTEP clip, they were talking about the stadium noise, right? When you get a lot of stadium noise, sometimes if quarterbacks don't have basically the mental toughness attribute, then all the play, routes are going to look all squiggled. You can't see the preview of the play and things like that. That is so unique to me. It's different. It's going to make it really competitive, and it's going to create its own culture around NCAA 25 the same way college football has.
Okay, I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot, but did you see the TV schedule for UTEP?
I did. I don't remember all of them, but I did see the TV schedule.
So it's great that accessibility is the top thing, right? Because then your family back in, Long Beach can actually watch you guys play every single game. It's not like you have to get a subscription to Conference USA TV or go to Stadium TV or go to some of these different streams. It's just the basic ESPN, CBS channels.
Exactly. It's the ESPN channels, it's the CBS channels, and obviously we play like Nebraska, I think it was on Fox and things like that, and that's awesome. One of the things talking about TV and media was on those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games during October, whatever those weekday games fall. They're terrible to play as a player, flat out. You don't want to play on a Tuesday or Wednesday. It's not fun. It messes up your schedule. With guys that have a ton of classes, it messes that stuff up too. But aside from that, from guys who obviously aren't from here, and we have a ton of kids on this team that are maybe not necessarily from close by or things like that, you can see it on all your ESPN channels back home, and nobody's doing anything on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and so that's when you have so many people from back home, maybe that you haven't talked to in years or whatever, and they get to go on, they get to turn on the TV, and UTEP football's front and center right there for them to watch.
Yeah, and I used to be the hater when it came to midweek games because I was like, all right, you guys are students too, and it's like you're chopping up into the actual week. It's a Tuesday. I hate this year's because it's like 6-day turnarounds on back-to-back weeks, so it'll be tough. I mean, it's just going to be those adjustments for you specifically, just trying to maneuver through that and having a Wednesday game, or it's one Thursday game, then it's a Wednesday game, then it's a Tuesday game, which is just kind of weird, kind of staggered.
It really is weird, and it's going to be a complete adjustment period, and obviously it's a little bit of a disadvantage if your opponent, I haven't looked at their schedules, but if they don't have the same problem, right?
Right.
Those 6-day weeks make a difference because it changes how you attack your week. You always go through the same type of days, day to day to day throughout that week, and that's obviously going to alter. And I don't know how much, unless you've played football, you don't really understand how much wear and tear goes into a game, and then you need every single minute you can before the next game to heal. So it's going to be an adjustment process, but like I said, you got to play, ride the wave.
Okay, let's do some rapid fire. Boston or Dallas? What do you think?
Boston.
Okay. Any reason?
No reason, just because everybody thinks Dallas.
Okay. All right. Just doing a little different this time around. Okay, Kendrick or Drake? We didn't get to talk to you during this.
That's a crazy one. My brother's not listening right now. He'll be happy when I say this. Drake, in the sense that I think Drake is the best of all time. Hey, Kendrick's back from my hometown too, but he may have won the actual battle as far as the battle goes, but Drake is he's not my favorite rapper of all time or anything like that, but come on, Drake's the GOAT.
Oh my gosh. All right. You and Lane Frank are the only ones here on this show.
You guys all think Kendrick?
No, I think they were just abstained over here. Alberto and Michael just abstained.
All right.
Yeah. Zay was a Kendrick. Steve was a Kendrick. I was a Kendrick.
Does Steve even understand, though?
Yes.
I mean, that's the real question. When I see you guys on Tuesday, I'm going to ask Steve if he even understands what's going on.
Oh, my gosh.
I on a quick note, I know we're rapid fire here. My brother went down and broke down every song for me when he was out here for my graduation.
Wow.
Broke down every song in order. We listened to each of them, all the diss tracks.
Okay.
And I was like, holy crap. Like, that is crazy.
Okay, so graduation. Well, how does it feel being a graduated man?
Really cool. I mean, I feel like a lot of school teaches you different things. You get to learn a lot, but it's also like, hey, you put in your time and you did your dues. And I feel like, I've gone through a lot of school. I've taken a lot of classes. Still got 2 years left to play, so I'm going to be able to get a master's degree while I'm here. And I'm happy that I was able to, kind of close the book on the communication degree. That way we can move forward with the leadership studies master's. But it's cool. It's an accomplishment. It's fun, and it's exciting to be like, hey, you know what? I got my undergrad.
What's the timeline now for college football here? What do you guys have going on? Practices, anything like that? Workouts? What's going on?
Yeah, on Monday we start back up, and we're going to be, strictly workouts, player-led practices and things like that. We'll get together with guys and throw the ball around a little bit, but there'll be no organized stuff from the coaches. It's just going to be running, lifting, conditioning right now. Right now is the time to prepare your body to get ready to go into fall camp, into a season.
Man, Cade, great rapid fire here. Great to catch up with you. We had to do it because you were on the video game today, and when you made that appearance, I had to text you, but I'm glad that I wasn't the first. I'm glad that there were a lot of others who were really excited as well.
It's always exciting for me to see your name pop up on my phone.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. You're just saying that, but I appreciate it. I love the responses, though. I loved how everybody was really excited about it, and it makes me excited about playing the video game. So there we go. Cade, we'll see you Tuesday. I can't wait for it.
Sounds
the return
good.
of Cade McConnell here on Sports Talk.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys Tuesday. I'm excited.
All right, Cade McConnell joining us out here at Ascarate the Golf Course. We'll take a break. When we come back, it is story time with Tim Haggerty next here on 600 ESPN El Paso. And welcome back. We are out here at Ascarate the Golf Course for another edition of Storytime as we head out to Dell Diamond. Welcome on the Chihuahuas broadcaster, Tim Haggerty, for another edition of Storytime. Tim, take it away.
Adrian, the Cincinnati Reds are a historic team in the historic National League. But in 1880, Cincinnati was kicked out of the NL for selling beer. There was a gentleman's agreement among owners at that time prohibiting selling alcohol or playing on Sundays, with Cincinnati refusing to comply with either one of the parts of that gentleman's agreement. The league held a meeting to codify the rules and make them official. When it came time to vote, Cincinnati's representative, W.C. Kennett, just sounds like an 1880s executive, doesn't he? Well, he didn't vote as a protest. He tried to compromise by offering to move their alcohol drink stand under the grandstand, but the National League said no, and they told Cincinnati that they were not welcome. Cincinnati didn't host Major League Baseball the following year. They joined the rival American Association in 1882, where they were allowed to sell beer. They did not rejoin the NL until 8 years later. And I love this one. Imagine a ballpark kicked out of a league for selling beer.
Wow. I mean, can you imagine if this was the case nowadays, Tim? There would be no teams playing Major League Baseball right now.
Exactly. That would really hurt the atmosphere for a lot of fans that enjoy a cold one at the beer at the ballpark, and also might affect a team's bottom line as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe they're even ostracized because of this right there. Like, the league would not even accept them at this point because of the alcohol sales. Now, we're also talking about probably, 25 years before Prohibition really takes effect? Maybe a little bit even more before that, right?
Exactly, even more before that. But at this time, baseball's ballparks were full of some unruly characters. It wasn't necessarily the family atmosphere that we have now. Part of the reason why teams instituted ladies' days back then was try to encourage women to come to the ballpark because it felt like the male patrons would then act more gentlemanly. But this was a wild time. There were times where fans would run on the field, chase after umpires. So part of the National League's goal with banning beer was to try and cut back on that. Now, of course, we've figured out you can sell beer and have a tame, professional, comfortable atmosphere at the ballpark. But back then, they felt like those two things would conflict.
You know, Tim, when it comes down to this right here, I also wonder, like you mentioned, if we were kind of teleported back to this time period for Major League Baseball, what those crowds would really be like. Oh, were they rowdy? Were they, you said a lot of things were going on in the stands. Like, what was the vibe kind of like, in the stands for these?
Absolutely. It was a terrible time for umpires. I heard the theory one time that a lot of people at ballparks were men that had grueling labor jobs. These are men that were working construction or in a mine or on a railroad, and at that time you really couldn't sit down with your boss and talk about your feelings. These are people that were really bossed around all week, so then they go to the ballpark, and yelling at an umpire is the one chance you have all week to speak out against an authority figure. And of course, back then, there's no television replays. They are sure that their team is getting hosed on a call. It was a wild time. And the other thing that makes me enjoy reading about this era, sometimes there's a perception that way back when sports were gentlemanly games, they were out there for leisure or for exercise. It is absolutely not true. There are stories as far back as the 1870s of players doing whatever it takes to go to the next team that would pay them more money. It literally has never been true. So if people call your show and say, oh, athletes these days, they're all about getting the next gig, that's always been true.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because, I'm starting to really dive into this on my side, Tim. The National League being in that rough shape in the late 1880s, you talk about how not only the league side and the participating cities were in constant flux due to all the bans that were going on. How would they even maneuver with who would be playing and who would not be playing as far as all the teams go? It feels like it would just be randomized year by year as to who's actually in the National League and who's not.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it surprised me these days we spend so much time. Teams spend the entire winter planning the promotional schedule, selling tickets, getting everything ready. This has become a year-round type of scenario. But the first ever professional baseball league in 1871, the National Association, they were playing games in May. They formed the league in March. They just decided in March we're going to start this thing, and that's where professional baseball started, just 5 weeks before the first game. So I think that back then you had a little bit more leeway time because it really was just opening up the ballpark, having the fans come in and hoping for the best. Of course, back then it's all day games as well. There's no stadium lights until the 1930s.
That's amazing. Hey, Tim, I want to also talk about what's going on next week. You'll be missing Wednesday through Saturday. You'll be speaking at at a conference at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. This will be your 4th trip out there. Tell our listeners a little bit more about this one. I'm sure we'll talk more about this on Tuesday after, on Sports Talk when we bring you on. But let's talk about it a little now here as we heard the news today that you'll be out there Wednesday through next Saturday.
Yeah, thank you very much. During the winter, I got a message asking me to speak at a conference at the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's being put on by the Society for American Baseball Research. As you might have read, this is a big time for Negro Leagues history, with their statistics being added to the Major League record earlier this week. And it's a Negro Leagues-related conference, and I'll be speaking as part of a group that's going over the best Negro League players who aren't in the Hall of Fame. So I've been tasked with speaking for 20 minutes about Cannonball Redding, a great pitcher from the 1910s. And I'm appreciative that the Chihuahuas said, sounds good, you can miss a few games for this. As you guys know, I don't like to miss games. I usually really try to fight through no matter what. I think that's part of the job is being at every game you possibly can. But I felt like this was worthwhile, was a nice bucket list item. So, yeah, I'm honored. I'll be flying there next week. There aren't many direct flights from El Paso to Cooperstown. Cooperstown is a very small village, an hour and a half from Albany. It's even hard to get to once you get to New York. So because of that, it required a day on either side to travel. So I'll be there at Southwest University Park for the first and last game of next series, but I'll miss the 4 in between.
Man, Tim, what an amazing accomplishment right there. I think it's awesome. It's great that you're going to be the one here just to represent, you're even just the city of El Paso, the Chihuahuas, everybody who's around you for this, this presentation. It's awesome. And it's just a reflection of who you are as a baseball historian, not just a broadcaster. 4th time there. I mean, that's just exciting in itself, Tim. I'm sure every time you get out to Cooperstown, it's always just an amazing, amazing thing.
Thank you for the kind words, and it is. I went there once as a kid. Then in high school, we went there. Our high school, Canton High School in Massachusetts, was able to arrange a game against another team from Massachusetts at historic Doubleday Field. We drove all the way out there 5 hours, and the game got rained out.
No.
That was a tough one. But, then in the ensuing years, I've occasionally gone out there for research-related projects, like for my baseball book of stories that came out last year. It's a great place. Not only the museum and the plaque gallery, but they also have a great baseball library, probably the biggest, well, definitely the biggest one of its kind in the world. And they have you put on these surgical-type gloves, these medical gloves, because they're giving you these documents that were printed in the 1800s. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Tim, last night for the El Paso Chihuahuas, another loss. It was Johnny Cueto, 2-time MLB All-Star, who pitched 6 shutout innings for Round Rock in their win over the Chihuahuas. What was it like watching him, Cueto, on the mound, just do what he did against the Chihuahuas?
It was a really eventful game. Johnny Cueto pitched very well. 38 years old, trying to get back to the big leagues for what would be his 17th Major League season. So some fans were asking me, is it an injury rehab appearance? And it wasn't. Cueto is a member of the Round Rock Express, just like their younger players are. And then also last night, there was an argued play at second base that led to
it was all over
Chihuahuas.
social media.
Exactly, yeah. 3 different Chihuahuas got ejected on one play. And it was interesting, Adrian, because the Chihuahuas did not have any ejections in their first 53 games, and then they had 3 in about 20 seconds.
Wow, that's insane right there. But when I saw the play and when I saw the social media response, Tim, I was surprised myself that all three were ejected off of that. I mean, I thought it was a controversial call, no doubt about it. However, regardless of what you thought about the call, emotions got high off that one right there.
Exactly, yeah. The replay showing that maybe the runner was in fact tagged out but was called safe, but then that at-bat proceeded with nobody being ejected. The batter then hit a single that scored the run. And the word I hear today is that one of the Chihuahuas players said to the umpire, "That's on you." In other words, if you didn't call that guy safe, that run wouldn't have scored. And over the years, that's not the first time I've heard of a Chihuahua player saying that, or any professional baseball player saying that. And apparently that is grounds for dismissal. When you suggest to an umpire that run wouldn't have happened if it wasn't because of you, you're gone. So when that happened, a second Chihuahuas player then ran over, did not like how quick the ejection happened. At that point, the manager, Pete Zamora, comes out. He gets ejected. It was a wild scene, and it was just the buzz of the ballpark today.
Not to mention, I mean, the Chihuahuas also even staged a comeback late in this game, too. So to add an even wilder finish to this wild game, the Chihuahuas were even trying to attempt a comeback late in this one last night.
Yeah, they played very well in the ninth inning, scored 3 runs, and then put an additional runner on base, and really started to make some noise. And we've seen that. If you look at the box scores game by game, I'm not saying this to be, glass half full. It's the truth, is that even though the Chihuahuas are 21-33, they've had a lot of comeback attempts or successful comebacks this year. I do think it's a really positive group. And I think you can always tell a lot about a team that comes back a lot. They're not giving up at bats. They're not giving up at bats on the mound either. And I think the Chihuahuas have that.
Tim, really appreciate you joining us here to close out the show. Excited for tonight's matchup. It's Chihuahuas taking on Round Rock. We'll talk to you here in less than 5 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Adrian.
All right, that's Voice of the Chihuahuas, Tim Haggerty, closing it up with us here on the show. Just want to mention one more time to all our listeners, it's Ascarate at the Golf Course, and it's Nights Under the Lights. Get started every Friday and Saturday, starting tonight, 7 to 10, here at the driving range. What you could take advantage is the $6 large range buckets. The last bucket will be sold at $9.15, so get a bucket of balls, hit on the driving range under the lights here at the beautiful Ascarate at the Golf Course. Also want to mention Gals Going Golfing. It's every Friday, May 31st through June 28th. You heard Mike Smith, the head PGA pro here at Ascarate. He said if you are not able to make it tonight and you're a female wanting to learn the sport of golf, wanting to have fun and win some prizes here at Ascarate the Golf Course, you could sign up next week and he will prorate those sessions for you. This includes lessons, range balls, green fees, golf cart, and the prize fund as well. That's Gals Going Golfing. You can call the Pro Shop, 915-771-2392 to learn more about this. One more time, Dads and Rides. This is the Father's Day event that's coming up Sunday, June 16th from 2 to 8 o'clock. It's a Father's Day celebration with car shows, food trucks, and live music out here at Ascarate Park. So come on out here, take advantage of the great park here, and celebrate Father's Day at Ascarate Park. One more time as well, the swim lessons are starting here in the month of June for pretty much all ages, but it starts for ages 4 and 5, 6 to 9 at the Ascarate Park Aquatic Center, and that's all happening Tuesdays and Thursdays starting June 8th out here at Ascarate Park. For all of what we talked about, and for more information, visit epcountyparks.com to learn more. Hey, I want to give a special thanks to Angel Munoz. He killed it back at our River Oaks Property Schoolyard Sports Studios. It was great to always connect with him. Special thanks to Michael Plundo, Alberto Reta. I'm Adrian Broadus. Steve Kaplowitz will be back in action on Monday, 4 o'clock for a 3-hour edition of Sports Talk. But until then, we'll take a break right now. When we come back, Chihuahuas baseball on deck right here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
Tonight, the Chihuahuas play Game 4 of a 6-game series at Dell Diamond against the Round Rock Express, the Texas Rangers AAA affiliate. Hello and welcome to our Southwest University studio on location at Dell Diamond. I'm Tim Haggerty with your Budweiser Zero pregame show brought to you by L&F Distributors. Budweiser Zero, full flavor at zero alcohol brew. Angel Munoz is our studio producer today, and we'll get right to it. Tonight's starting lineups are brought to you by Budweiser Zero. Budweiser Zero, full flavor at zero alcohol brew. The Chihuahuas are 21 at 33 in ninth place, 14 games back at the standings. First baseman Nate Mondu leads off. Matthew Batten sitting second and playing shortstop.